on Thursday for Maiden Saudi Africa Summit in Riyadh. And then Ajero Aviation Union's blacklist in flight nationwide. We'll be telling you.
All right. Good morning, everyone. And today is the 9th day of the month of November as we start with the Starr Radio UK morning show. A very good morning and welcome once again. And welcome to all our viewers and listeners around the world. Let's go back again. All right, what's going on again now? Not again now. Good morning, good afternoon for those of you in Nigeria. It is good morning here in London. All right, something has gone wrong again here. Not sure what it is. All right, I'm gonna have to restart the whole system again. Overworking. Good morning, everybody, and welcome once again. Good afternoon if you're watching from Nigeria. Welcome back again to the transmission. I have to restart the system, so that's why we're still waiting. So we're back. All right. So let's see what's going on again. Good morning, and welcome to everyone that have joined us so far. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Let's see again. Why is my sound not coming out? Because something is blocking something. Or my picture is out, but I can't hear you.
Reliable and trustworthy.
You are listening to Starr Radio News.
Welcome back to the program. It is Starr Radio. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. I'm bringing the time now to exactly 8 minutes past the top of the hour. It's my singular honor to welcome my colleague and co-presenter, Mr. Olayomi Koiki, who has joined us this morning. His quest to bring you the one and only updates from Nigeria. I was going to say Niger voices, but I'm saying, Yomi, good morning to you.
Good morning to you back in the studio, Mr. Achie, and a very good morning to all our listeners and viewers from around the world. And welcome once again to the morning show where we discuss the happenings on the other side of the continent in Nigeria. Good morning, Frank. Good morning to all our presenters. And most importantly, good morning, good afternoon to our viewers from around the world and to those that have joined us on the sister broadcast around the globe.
Okay. How are you? And how was your way back home yesterday from the studios?
Well, it was like I said yesterday. The overground. After 25 years in the UK, sometimes you could miss that stop, or if you are not, making sure that you're boarding on the right train, especially the overground, you could find yourself in a different location. I'm sure I spoke to you, just about almost half an hour, into the show, but making my way back home, it was not too bad. The most important thing I said, I got back home, I was still able to, to speak to my viewers that were following us, because, people like us, wants to know what is going on around us, even though they can't know everything. The security of living in UK is one of the top notch, even though we've had glitch of the 7/7 attack, and there's still imminent attack here in the UK. So that means security is important. And if you're going home, you're expected to get back home, even in the crisis of what is going on in the Middle East. There's a lot of tension going on, but I can confirm that coming back home last night after the these Niger voices was a very fantastic return back home. I love the public transport. It is more a little bit cheaper than driving.
Of course, it is. Well, listeners, Mr. Olayomi Koiki for you. And for the sake of those who missed out on the Niger buses yesterday, but before I go on, your way you putting on your hat. This one, I thought this one is cheap. No, what do you call it? Nnamdi Azikiwe. You are looking like him.
Well, you might be right. Many people have even said maybe I'm from the southeast. I'm an Igbo man. But one thing is, regardless of who you are, humanity is the most important thing. And not just, Azikiwe. I think, if you look at, the late saga, the late Obafemi Awolowo, let's see if we can get, it dresses like this as well. But, it seems that Tinubu is not. This is the president's hat. That was the president with his logo there. He's currently on his route. Is probably right now in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. We're going to be telling you a little bit more. But if you compare these to what these Afenifere is putting on, that is what Awolowo would have put on throughout his lifetime. So that tells you that the Afenifere, the pan-Yoruba social cultural groups that believe that, it is only the restructure of Nigeria that can keep us together. If not, the country, it has bleak. And if you then come back a little bit further down, you will then be able to see what late Obafemi Awolowo, the premier of the regional government, the first, individual that decided that, the southwest part of Nigeria then, was moving at a speed of sound. We had the television station that was working, before France. We have, the Cocoa House, that was built. It's still standing. And you might not also know that he also funded through the cocoa, revenue, what we can call the Nigeria High Commission today in London. That also created free education, but it seems that after the military took over, almost everything he worked hard for with his cabinet as at the time have now been destroyed or been moved into what we can now call the federal government. And that also involves, the radio station that was put out. It is now known as the NTA and so many other things. In 1982, literally the southwest part of Nigeria was moving much more faster than South Korea. It seems now that everything has shattered and we are now back to square one.
Well, listeners, back to square one. But what can we do? So when the foundation is destroyed, what would the righteous do? The righteous can talk, they can pray, whatever thing that they want to do. Let me say good morning to Pastor Mo. Long time no here. I hope you are doing very, very well as well. I say good morning, wonderful people. Well done, and God be with you, or God be with you too, our pastor. All right, then, let's start with you, Koiki. Let's hit the ground running. A quick one from what you discussed yesterday on the Niger Voices.
Well, let's just, put it down that we discussed, almost everything, a country is expected to run on. We talked about the security. The security of Nigeria is the paramount. If you don't have the security, you cannot have, the investors coming in. You cannot have, many Nigerians that would love to come back home. But it seems that, the new, as you can see, that is the new information minister and orientation tends to be telling the international community Nigeria is still open for businesses, and likewise many diaspora that would love to invest back home. But one thing is, without adequate security, without discussing the issues surrounding the self-determination, right there you can see the prime minister, government in exile of the Biafra, that is also saying that we cannot legitimize illegitimacy in the southwest and in the southeast, and that literally means that there's going to be a lot of tension in Imo State again as we go into what we called another election that is coming out. We talked about the currency. We talked about also the Borno State governor telling us about the timeline of a country like Nigeria might be wiped off the map. I don't think we want to see such, even if it's going to dissolve. But the problem is the insecurity also means that I talked about that while I was anchoring the program yesterday during the morning show. Many Christians have been killed in Nigeria, and the question is, what more can be done to rectify all these damages? This was what was discussed throughout the 2.5 hours program that we held on the Niger Voices last night in the studio.
Well, listeners, Mr. Olayomi Koiki bringing you everything you need to know. And there was some sneak view of what happened on the Niger Voices yesterday. But now let's come to substantive issue this morning. The NLCs from TUC protesters have blocked both the entry and exit way of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. What is their call? What are they looking for? And have there been any response from government at all?
Well, it seems that the president will be briefed on a daily basis in terms of the security of the country while he's currently in Saudi Arabia. You're quite right. Abuja Airport is now completely blocked. As the military has also not allowed the NLC and the TUC members to get closer to the airport. So what they've done is they've driven very close down there. There's so many vehicles, and that means that as we speak right now, there's a total shutdown at the airport. It's going to be a big impact of travelers that are traveling out of Nigeria. Remember that is the capital city, and that also indicates that many individuals that have flights, whether the local flight or the international flight, would then have to walk into the airport with their luggages. I mean, it is not new in Nigeria. You get stuck in the traffic heading to the airport. Rather than going into the Uber or your vehicle that is driving you, you probably get into Okada, motorcycle that can take you down there, or you might just have a Omolanke that can push you there as long as you can get to the airport in time. So what we are witnessing is there's always been, the NLC saying that there's going to be a strike, there's going to be protest, but the protest is part of what they call a series of actions that the two labor centers says they will zero in on again Imo State following the attack of the NLC president Joe Ajaro at Imo State some few weeks back.
Interesting one there. Well, let's see whether the government will heed to their calls, and let's see what happens out of that. But it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Moving on to some of the other stories making the rounds this morning as well. Don't you worry, you can see Mr. Olayomi, and that is good enough, right? Yes. Okay. Now, Tinubu stops electricity tariff hike, insists on subsidy. And then let me add this one to it. Obi falls Tinubu's 2.17 trillion supplementary budget. Now, is that supplementary budget for the electricity tariff subsidy that he's talking about? What exactly? Can you throw more light on that, please?
Well, you're quite right. This is what we expect. Opposition must be ready to, to put, the government in place, and keep them on the toes. As much as the election is completed, there's now a government running. Peter Obi knocks Tinubu's wasteful supplementary budget again, admits suffering by the Nigerians. This is coming as Peter Obi of the Labour Party has described the passing of the 2023 supplementary budget into law by President Bola Tinubu as being wasteful, berating the government for being insensitive, uncaring about the suffering of Nigerians, while squandering resources on a mysterious presidential yacht and the fleet of what we called the SUV that we're expecting them to be buying anytime soon. Then coming back to the next headline, electricity is very, very important. President Bola Tinubu stops electricity tariff hike, insists on subsidy. Yesterday, I was looking at the government says they've saved about almost 1.4 trillion naira. That's a huge amount of money since the subsidy has been removed, by President Bola Tinubu, since he came back as the president on the May 29th. Recently, President Tinubu stopped the implementation of a hike in electricity tariff, but insisted that subsidy be paid on what we call power consumed nation. This is coming from the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, that almost died again for the negligence of a country that is so corrupt, a country that doesn't have, what we call maintenances. Adelabu was traveling to Ibadan last week on a private jet that should not be a commercial flight, eventually skidded, but it was saved just, by the creator or whatever he believes in. But the minister said yesterday that the federal government of Bola Tinubu would investigate the legality of the 5-year license expansion given to privatize power distribution, and also the general company, stressing that the operating licenses of the firms would have to expire at the end of last month. The minister that spoke at the press briefing in Abuja further stated that it will sack any non-performing chief executive in the agency under the power ministry. Let me give you a background to that. What we've seen is that during the Jonathan period, many licenses were sold in the power sector. But unfortunately, most of those that bought it do not have the capacity, to maintain the capacity to also look after that sector. It seems that this president wants to review that. Not sure why, the former president under, President Muhammadu Buhari refused to do the same thing. But it seems that this government is trying to vet back maybe some of the licenses that were issued during the period of Jonathan and likewise during the period of the other president, Muhammadu Buhari and Yemi Osinbajo.
Well, is that what they intend doing? Well, if that is what they intend to do, we'll find out pretty soon. It's just a matter of time. So I was trying to say that Peter Obi has taken a place in the House of Representatives, or as the substantive, what do you call it, opponents of, or what do you call them in the House,
the opposition.
Opposition party in the House of Representatives. Is that what they've done?
Well, they haven't got much. I believe they have maybe 1 or 2 Labour Party candidates as the Senate, and probably 1 or 2 or 3 as well in the House. So the numbers is not that much, but again, he's still an opposition because he contested for the president. He lost, according to the the voters. They went down to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court says they could not still bring back Peter Obi as the president. So all he can do right now is to cross-check what the present administration is saying. Unlike Peter Obi, criticism comes shortly after the 2023 supplementary appropriation bill to the tune of 2.17 trillion that was passed into law just yesterday. No item of urgent social welfare as yet feature in this supplementary budget being orchestrated by this government. Instead, the item being made to dominant public disclosure on the budget include the mysterious presidential yacht, presidential jet, the furnishing of already lavishly furnished presidential quarters, and the office fleet of luxury SUV. And this is coming from Peter Obi. He was actually speaking. He said this portray President Bola Tinubu's government that it is totally uncaring, insensitive to the suffering of the majority, and the indifferent to the mood of the nation. And I can tell you the mood of the nation, many Nigerians are not smiling as we speak this morning.
Well, listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. Mr. Olayomi, Koiki in our North London studios. I'm Achie here in the South studios, and we are bringing you updates from Nigeria. So wherever you are, don't touch the dial. We're moving on quickly. Yes, when it comes to the president, whether Nigerians like it or not, he has left the country en route to Saudi Arabia for the Riyadh summit that is going to be taking Saudi Africa summit in Riyadh. Now, the question is, what more is Nigeria looking for to get from Saudi Arabia? Is it oil? They have crude oil. They have as much as, let's say, if Nigeria has not got as much as they have, but they have done something out of what they have. Now, what is Nigeria or the president going to learn or going to get from them?
Well, there's a lot, to learn from, Saudi Arabia, and there's also so much that can be fruitful between the two, country when it comes to maintaining a fruitful bilateral, coordination. And I'm just going back to one of the Arab news. This was just some few months back, and it says there. Nigeria, Saudi Arabia have maintained a fruitful bilateral coordination envoy. According to Ambassador Yahya Lawal, our bilateral cooperation, which was initially Hajj-centric, many Nigerians traveled to this destination, to perform Umrah, to perform Hajj, but also the government has other engagement and bilateral trade, between the two countries. So what we are witnessing is that we now have again, President Bola Tinubu is not the first time he'll be traveling there. He's a Muslim. He's been there a few times. He was there just before the election, for the lesser Hajj, as it is known. But this time around, is now going to Saudi Arabia as the man in charge of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So he'll be getting a special, red carpet as he arrived in Saudi Arabia, as against going there as just a citizen prior before the election and being the president as well. So what we are going to see between the two countries is just the bilateral relationship. Speaking during the Independence Day of Nigeria in Riyadh, the envoy, as at the time, says, we join the Saudi brothers and sisters in commemorating their own 93rd National Day, wishing them further progress. But this time around, Nigeria also got the independence on the 1st of October 1960, and Nigeria established a formal diplomatic relationship with Saudi Arabia just a year after the independence. So you can tell that we have had this relationship with Saudi ever since a year after the Nigerian independence in 1960. And that is about 6 decades.
Wow. But see what they've done with their resources, and what have we done with ours? Someone said that we have the West manipulating, or our colonial masters manipulating us. But what have we done ourselves? That is the question. I wanted to put your comments on whatever we are discussing this morning. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, before I leave, so allow me to bring you all the rest of the stories. Now, last time we did talk about mental health care, and we've been celebrating the World Mental Health Day and stuff like that. But this is a case where we're talking about here, I think it's here in the UK, where the British UK police are probing a suicide of a British-born Nigerian. Do you have any information to that? And who is that person, if we have got any insights to that as well? Yep.
Yes, suicide is, we talked about it a lot on the Starr Radio UK, and if you're feeling suicidal, it is important that you speak to someone. It is not the option to take, because it is also going to be a very, very bad stigma, not even within the community, also within the society at large as well. I'll be giving you a little bit background. Last year, not last year, I think beginning of this year, we lost one Nigerian, a Yoruba man in Liverpool. He's a DJ. told the wife to get something in the store. By the time the wife came back, he was already gone. He actually committed suicide. And the reason he gave us at the time from, information was that, the community were not giving him enough, either jobs, within the community in Liverpool. But the one we are talking about this morning is that the British police has now said it is reviewing the case involving the late Alani Ogundipe, who committed suicide after being allegedly blackmailed by a boyfriend, Ryan Legit. According to the detective, Inspector Johnny Dyer of the Great Manchester Police made the disclosure just on Friday in response to an inquiry on the status of the investigation. Dyer, who is currently handling the case, said the police were in correspondence with the family. He also said that I can confirm receipt of your email. I have been asked to review this investigation. I am in correspondence with Oladapo Ogundipe. According to the review that is still ongoing, when completed, Oladapo Ogundipe and his family would also be updated. I'm trying to get the image, up in just about a few minutes so we can have a background to this individual, and we can only pray, for the families. When you commit suicide, it could be devastating. It could have a lot of impact, like I said, in the community and friends and family, both in Nigeria and as well, right in UK. This incident happened after Leggett allegedly broke into a phone, copied a document, and threatening to reveal a private information to the public. Alani's father, Oladapo Ogundipe, who raised the alarm over the circumstances that led to her daughter's death, said Leggett went further to make financial demands from her. He said, Ryan met my daughter in June 2022. Less than a month into the relationship, he already said he wanted to marry her and took her to his mother. As the director of my company, we plan to send her £100,000 meant for a particular investment in UK. When Ryan Wyapps knew about this, he started asking for a bank statement, but on the 13th of May, started shouting at her. After she refused to give it to him, he waited till May 28, 2023, after he had found out that her passport was required for his money to be sent. That was how he broke into the phone on the May 28th around 10 a.m. while she was asleep and started to use information he copied to blackmail her. He also made her apologize to him, now used the apology to get her to agree in writing what she was going to pay him in coerced to debt she owed. So you can see that it seems that this is a case of what we can call relationship, money, and that has also meant that Oladapo said he didn't know what transpired until after her daughter had died. He also disclosed that it was after the incident that Legend shared a series of information that revealed how he broke into the phone. But like I said, the wife who witnessed the conversation had not been invited, neither was Legend arrested, adding that the police only based their finding on the statement. So we will continue to monitor that. All this happened in Manchester, but like I said, there's so much happening within our community. I'm aware of that particular DJ, and we can continue to pray for the family and the children he left behind. And each time, such, news pops up, some might think that people are not committing such, very serious situation in UK. They do, but like I always say, there's depression everywhere in the world. But if you're feeling depressed, you got to speak to someone as quickly as possible.
That's right. That's right. If you are feeling depressed, please speak to someone. Speak to someone. I mean, it might just be something little. Sometimes you can call it a bluff, let it be whatever, and then we can get on. But if it's not, then what? So, listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. 11:33 the time. We'll go back to Yomi for the rest of the stories making the rounds and anything on the social media platform. Over to you, Yomi.
Yeah, we're going to make it swiftly because I'm aware that, it's 12 o'clock. We're going to be bringing the program down to an end. 51 billion debt. The federal government rules dwelling revenue reps condemn needless loans and contract. And again, corpse of adopted river teenager found in a shallow grave as well. OAU workers lament 10-month unpaid salary. Again, I'm not too sure how, when salaries are not paid, how you expect citizens to operate. Is a disaster, because if you're not paying them the salary, The question then is, how do you expect them to get to work? How do you expect them to survive? And this is why, this new administration must do whatever needs to be done, to revive, if possible, protect workers as well. Some medical workers at Obafemi Awolowo University Teaching Hospital, Ile-Ife, Osun State, have tackled the management for allegedly subjecting them to penury over 10 months of unpaid salary. The employees who spoke during the interviews yesterday stressed that they have resorted to begging to feed their families due to the hardship the non-payment of salaries has also subjected them to. What a very sad situation there. It seems that the federal government is making so much revenue collection at the custom. In the last 4 months, 334 billion have now been collected as revenue. The question is, maybe some of this revenue were not probably paid, from whoever was running the affairs. But the new Controller General of Nigerian Customs Service, Adewale Adeniyi, says the service recorded a surge in monthly revenue collection from 202 billion naira to 333.9 billion in the last 4 months. So it seems that that sector, which is a very huge sector, as you can tell, when it comes to custom, many Nigerians around the world ship stuff to the country. But the only problem is sometimes, just as the airport, some of those things inside have also been tampered with. The Senate to investigate loop-side recruitment by the Civil Service Commission. It is party government, as we say in Nigeria, but it seems that the Senate has now directed its Committee on Establishment and Public Service Matter to investigate alleged loop-side recruitment and deployment by the Federal Civil Service Commission, FCSC. This followed the adoption of a motion on urgent need to ensure federal characters principle in the FCSC, sponsored by Senator Titus Zama of APC Benue State at the preliminary. Presenting the motion, Mr. Zama said the FCSC was established to recruit and deploy officers with relinquished qualification into the federal services. I can assure you that many Nigerians do pay to get into a particular services or sector in Nigeria, and this is still going on as we speak. Let's take you down straight to Benue State before we move straight to the social media. Benue Teaching Hospital new MRI dialysis machines are not working. The MRI machine alone, if functioning, can solve close to 70% of radiological dialysis. What is shocking is that the machine was only commissioned in March this year. Only Lord knows how much money was pumped into that machine. You can tell that the country is as useless as some of us say. That it doesn't seem that the management of this hospital needs to be checked. Maybe they've even swapped that machine with their own private hospital. According to Stephen Idwan, the chief medical director of the Benue State Teaching Hospital, says the magnetic resonance imagery MRI and 2 dialysis machines acquired by the hospital are not working. He disclosed this yesterday when members of the Benue State House Assembly Standing Committee on Health visited the hospital for oversight functioning. He said the MRI machine was only launched in March. It's not working together with the 2 dialysis machines that acquired for isolation unit. The MRI machine produced detailed images of almost every internal structure in the human body, including the organ, bones, muscular, and blood vessel. Mr. Adwin, however, added that since the contractor installed the MRI machine, test run was conducted. It was not used on any patient. I don't know what more to say on that. We're going to move straight, because of the time, straight to what is happening on the social media this morning. This is still the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. And remember to follow us on Monday to Sunday with all the programs, and make sure you follow us on the X space as well. It seems that the protest in Abuja is currently trending on the social media this morning. NLC TUC is trending. Abuja Airport is trending. Ashake is trending. Bello Matawali is trending. And I can talk about Bello Matawali, a former governor in Nigeria, but also, according to the report, Zamfara State government have now presented documents revealing how Bello Matawali not only blew over 1 billion naira for abandoned catering rest house, the immediate past administration of the former governor was also buying vehicles for what they call bandits, but there's nothing known as bandits. These are Fulani terrorists that are promoting, terrorism across Nigeria. Another headline says how Bello Matawale squander over 1 billion naira for abandoned hotel service center. You can tell the wastage that is happening around these as well. The particular interview that was granted that revealed this governor that was paying, the former governor is currently under this new administration as a minister, was coming from the new commissioner of the state, says the former governor of Zamfara State really finished Zamfara. It totally, before leaving office, he should be arrested. The question is, would Bola Tinubu have what it takes to arrest a sitting minister under his nose? I am not too sure corruption is going anywhere near in Nigeria yet. That is how far we can go. But like I said, if you're traveling out of Abuja this morning or maybe tomorrow, you might want to put extra time ahead now because nobody knows what is happening there. But again, somebody says under the comment section, what concern FCT with Ajaro fight in Imo State? The soldiers and the police are not policemen are there, not workers too. Some of the comments, somebody clearly stated that it will continue from where Buhari stopped, and people are surprised. They play. We are all in this mess.
I like the bit where they said he would continue where Buhari left, and the people are surprised. But what do you think about everything that we discussed this morning? I hope that those of you on the other platform as well, and as many of you listening to us or viewing us, you enjoy the program so far. Yomi, let me say thank you very much for that wonderful update as well.
Have a very good morning. We'll be back again tomorrow. Bye for now.
Bye-bye. Okay, that has been Mr. Olayomi Koiki for you on the Starr Radio UK 30th edition morning show, where he brought you updates from Nigeria. We're going to take a quick break. We come back and we will bring you all the other stories making.
Thank you so much. I got to go now. They're going to get breakfast and then I'll come back and we start our educational program again. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a very good morning. My name is Olayomi Koiki. Bye for now.